Hey everybody, it's Allie Edwards, and this week we are documenting and playing along in the next chapter in our Pieces of Life collection. This week we are doing Pieces of You. We've got a little notebook, stamp set, and a few other things if you would like to play along. There's also a PDF on a blog post from last week that has the prompts written out. If you'd like to just use some things from your stash. I'm using a little notebook here, and the first prompt today is you are. For my project this time, I'm going to document a little bit about my daughter Anna in this particular season of life. And the way that I'm choosing to approach this time, I actually pulled out a couple different pattern papers, one from the first storyteller kit, one from the second storyteller kit, and another one is a vellum. So I'm kind of going with a light blue, dark blue, green color scheme for this one. I printed out my photo so that it is a 4.25 by 4.25 square, and then that top square is a width of 4.25 and a height of a height of 4 inches. I'm going to go ahead and take those two pieces of paper right there and run them through my sewing machine with a little bit of a zigzag stitch, and then I am going to staple the little die cut label on top. So my plan with this one, I'm going to have some repetition in the project this time. I'm going to do my photo and a pattern paper that same way each time, I think, and then do my journaling on the long side, just kind of mixing it up this time. So for this first one, obviously you see the pattern paper with the die cut label, and then I'm stamping the prompt on top. I'm going to repeat that same thing each time. I may vary. I might have the journaling in the spot where the photo is and maybe have a long vertical photo. I don't know about that part yet, but I do know that I want to repeat how I am setting up the prompt for each one. So the prompt will get stamped onto a die cut label and then added onto a pattern paper. All right, so for this one, what I decided that I wanted to do for the actual storytelling and the journaling part is I decided that I wanted to go big with my words, pick individual words, and just stamp them out. I also cut up some of that pattern paper so that it gives me a little bit of a fun scalloped edge that's going to go onto the bottom. But before I adhere that onto that long side, I want to do my stamping. I'm using an alpha stamp set from our Alphas Are Awesome collection. This is number 25. This is the one that just came out, but whatever you have in your stash would work just fine. So what I am doing here is I'm just thinking of individual words that kind of describe Anna right now, a few different things about her. I'm going to use all uppercase on this one. I'm right now stamping out the word 16. I'm going to use 3 different colors of inks here, using our Willamette ink, our McKenzie ink, and our Columbia ink. Those are all kind of green, well, Willamette and McKenzie are greens, and then the Columbia is like a light blue. So it kind of goes in with this, or goes along with that. And then above each of the words, I'm going to stamp the You Are prompt, which is from that stamp set there. So as I'm standing at my desk, I didn't write out the words that I was going to use first. I just kind of thought of them, and as they came to me, then I went ahead and stamped them. I wasn't sure in the beginning how many I was going to be able to get on there. I think I get 7 words on there, so that's something that you can plan a little bit, and you can kind of see how this particular stamp set, how many letters you can get in a word. So that is something also to keep in mind. If you're not into the stamping, you can also do this on your computer. You can create a page that is the same size, which is about 4.25 by, I think, 8.25. Check the height on there. I didn't measure that today because I wasn't cutting for that same thing. But again, using this 3 different colors of inks to identify words that describe her right now, and then stamping the You Are on top. You could also stamp the You Are over and over again if you wanted to fill in that space. That was something that I kind of considered, or I did consider, but I didn't end up doing that. I'm just stamping the You Are. I love this kind of project. If you're brand new and you're seeing me do this for the first time, I've done a number of chapters, a number of Pieces of Life chapters that I've approached in a variety of different ways. Sometimes I'm working directly in the notebook like I am here. So in this case, I'm actually stamping right onto the page that is in the notebook for this particular page. You can also do it on a separate piece of paper and then adhere it into the notebook. You can see past examples of that here on the blog or on YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, just look for the Pieces of Us collection or the Pieces of Us archive, and you can see a variety of different ways that I've approached it. So each day this week, you're going to see me here. I'm choosing to do these in the morning, or kind of my first project of the day, and then we'll share them as I finish them up over the course of the week here. Let's see, what else can I tell you about this? So I'm just continuing to stamp. I'm not worrying about whether the words are perfect. I don't really care about that. If I cared whether they were perfect or not, I would use a ruler. That S is upside down, by the way. Rolling with it. That's how we're rolling today. I think it's kind of funny actually that it went along. Busy was my last word for her. I was like, yeah, that's a good indicator. I also ran that little piece that I cut off from the pattern paper through my sewing machine just to add a little bit of stitching there. I have green thread on my sewing machine right now. I love how that's just kind of a fun little mixed media look too. Kind of goes just with my overall vibe that I've been feeling recently. I'm using red line tape to attach this into the notebook itself there just along the bottom, and I'll trim off the extra. I will also be using red line tape to adhere that page with the pattern paper and my photo into the notebook. I'll be using red line tape. You can see that's what I'm doing right now. You can use a skinnier version of this or the thicker version. Another thing to note when you're adhering things into the notebook, one thing I've learned from past experience is you want to not tuck it all the way into the seam there. So I try to leave a little bit of space when I'm adhering something like this. Just to even a little bit helps it to fold and not get too overstuffed, even though I do kind of like the chunkiness by the beginning, or by the end. I mean, I like the chunkiness. So pulling off the red line tape, I'm going to add that in. With this one, there is a page in between each of the prompt pages, and I will just be adhering those together because I like the finished book to just have these individual spreads, one for each prompt. After I get that adhered in, then I usually do a little bit of cleanup. I will use my corner rounder to round the corners, in addition to using my craft knife to trim off any extra that might be just a little bit bigger than the pages themselves. Sometimes I just do it along the edge, just like I'm doing right there, and I use the edge of the notebook, but I also will use my metal ruler there to kind of trim off any extra if I need to, which is what I'm doing on here. So this is day one in Pieces of You, part of our Pieces of Life collection, and I will be back tomorrow with another entry responding to the second prompt. I'll see you guys back here again tomorrow.